deductible, CTVIF systems, and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited, 246 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. Give us a call at 674-4000 or 675-4000 or email us at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
Chic Leisure Limited, making life easier. Our renowned great tasting vermicelli comes pre-cut in regular and parch, packaged to make preparation simple. Attention all doubles vendors and roti makers, try our high quality pre-sifted bromate free all-purpose and whole wheat flour, low price and conveniently packaged. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Chic Leisure Limited, Warrenville, Conopia. Chic Leisure Limited, quality you can trust.
Introducing the finest selection from premium deli and meats. Savor the bold flavors of beef salami, beef pepperoni and chicken ham. Indulge in our diced beef bacon and perfectly sliced beef bacon. Explore the rich taste of smoked beef and tender roast beef. Treat yourself to our juicy jumbo chicken hot dogs and beef hot dogs. Top it all off with the delicate flavors of smoked turkey breast and our premium whole turkey, all halal certified for your trust. Delivered to you by Chill Foods, Premium Deli and Meats, excellence in every bite.
The power. To shatter the strongest. Conquer the indestructible with Ronex's collection of angle grinders.
Hello, good night. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Barriers on IBN. I am your co-host, Richard Jagasan. With me is Uncle Nazim. Good evening, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Uncle Nazim, plenty to talk about.
I like how you start off the show.
Oh,
yes. Today's, you had to come out with some zest. Zest. Assalamu alaikum and good night, everyone. Welcome to this, I shouldn't say special edition, but this happy is not a good word. Give me a big word to use here.
Glorious.
Glorious. You see that? Today is, as a matter of fact, Tuesday morning, the breeze started to blow good. The sun started to shine better, brighter. I feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. My grass get greener with no rain.
All of a sudden?
All of a sudden. I'm telling you, everything went, as we predicted. And as we also predicted, it will have convulsions in the PNM.
Correct.
And you can see quite clearly PNM has reached its lowest. Look what really going on in PNM. But anyhow, we will deal with that just now, Richard. You take the cue and let's see how you're going to what we're starting with.
For those of you who do not know, minutes ago, ABC released some revised preliminary results. And as we speak, we're working on tabulating the numbers to get you some analysis going. What we do know, two major developments happened in the last couple of minutes. One is a decision has been made by the PNM to appoint and accept Camille Robinson Regis. Sorry, it's Penelope. Sorry, Penelope Beckles as the opposition leader, or the intended opposition leader for the PNM. Yeah, there we go. This evening around 4 p.m., 3 p.m., this is an internal circular petition signed by 6 members, 6 successful MPs of the PNM, endorsing or notifying their General Council and Parliamentary Caucus that they would like Penelope Beckles to be their opposition leader. So 6 signatures plus a confirmation from Penelope Beckles brings it up to 7. That brings us to, oh look, they call it a snap election. They never called it a snap election before. Look at that. Right, so Penelope Beckles went to the General Council as the standalone pick of their parliamentary caucus. And minutes ago, it was just revealed, guys, I think we have the video, if you could bring it up, just revealed by their General Secretary that Penelope Beckles will be the leader of the opposition. Why I had Camille Robinson Regis' name in my mind was because, ironically, interim figures show that she. So this is just a couple of minutes ago. So Camille Robinson Regis, however, was actually the most successful PNM MP, meaning she got the most votes and the widest gap between herself and her opposition and her opponent. And I have to ask myself, well, why wasn't she a front runner if she's the most successful? I think the gap, I'm going to get it in a couple minutes, I think the gap between Robinson and her opponent is a lot smaller. But we'll get the figures in a couple minutes. Like I said, it just came out. And in the meantime, what we do know is the score remains, what's the last figure? 54% of the voter turnout. And the score remains 26-13-2. 102,000 persons of the PNM that generally vote for the PNM refuse to vote. Whereas in total, the UNC and the Coalition of Interest received 351,025 votes.
That's final.
That's from the figures that we just got at some of the analysis I was able to do. Stevo and Mommy, hurry up with the analysis, please. So in the meantime, we have that interim to go with. And the score is 26-13-2. The 2 in Tobago, no, sorry, that 351,000 is not including Tobago.
All right.
It's nothing. That's only the UNC and the Coalition of Interest. So 351 versus the PNM, 224,414. Right. So the majority vote is in favor of the UNC and the Coalition of Interest. And that's excluding the 2 in Tobago. So 26-13-2. And now let's get into it.
So as you had the figures there, right? To let the viewers understand fully. So it shows quite clearly UNC votes there's normally about 307, 309,000.
That's correct.
So their votes went up by, let's say, about 43,000.
Correct. So there was a wave. There was a general increase.
Right. And the PNM lost the 251?
102. They lost 102.
No, what was their
Total 224.
224, so which means to say roughly around 60 to 70,000 didn't go out and vote for the PNM. They normally get about 290, 295, I think.
No,
Sometime-
102 didn't vote for them.
No, that means they didn't go out. Drop,
102.
it dropped.
Yeah.
But normally, like in a normal election, they will get about a little below 300 because UNC does normally get the popular vote and it
Right.
is over 300.
Right.
So their votes, you could safely say 241, let's say about 60,000 then, didn't go out and vote for the PNM.
No, I think it is this. I think roughly 100,000 people just stay home. They didn't vote for the PNM, they didn't vote for the UNC.
Just stay home.
They just stay home. They were so disenfranchised with the PNM and what the PNM had to offer. They disliked the PNM candidates so much and the possibility of Stuart Young being Prime Minister that they just decided to abstain from voting for their party of inheritance. As opposed to the UNC and the coalition of interests, which gained voters who usually stay home.
All right.
So I don't think it was PNM voters flip. I mean, you would have some of that. I'm not saying it didn't have that. But I'm saying that there was an increase in people who usually don't vote
Coming out.
in favor of the UNC and coalition of interests, and a decrease across the board of PNM voters. And that is reflective of how disheartened they are with the existing culmination, the existing executive of the PNM. And I think, my humble opinion is, that is now confirmed because there is total disarray in the PNM.
Chaos.
Resignation after resignation after resignation.
Just so we could start to line up all them videos with the PNM, we have line up with Sinanan, Rowley, Stewart. You could line up all of them and send them one by one, so that we could
Right.
I don't
so based on that, based on what is happening now, because this has been unfolding from about 11 o'clock this morning outside Balize House.
Right.
We knew that there was going to be parliamentary caucus followed by general council, and it's been absolute chaos outside Balize House in Port of Spain. Protest after protest after protest, gathering after gathering. There's a group that was gathered from early screaming that they want Penny. There's a group gathering early that they want the executive to resign. Of course, that is all hinged on the early resignation of Rowley. All right, we have an early resignation of Rowley. And following that, Sinanan resigned as DPL.
Stewart resigned.
Stewart resigned as chairman. And I think that is reflective of how the voter felt, the 102,000 voters felt. Because they didn't like the package. They didn't like what the PNM had to offer. So they decided not to vote. Or, as you may be correct, half of them maybe decided to switch their vote. But either way, I think it is the PNM absolutely crumbling as we speak. So we had the resignation of the political leader.
He was forced to resign today. I think he said he was going to resign
in August.
No, he was going to send his letter and maybe a day or two from the first. They say they want him to resign immediately. Immediately.
But in January, when he said he was going to have an early election, when he said he was going to put things in place, didn't he say that the caucus is due, the National Congress or something is due in August, and he will resign prior to the August?
Well, he was forced.
I think he was forced, I agree.
By none other than Jennifer Baptiste, who in the General Council, who put pen to paper, and it had some, I think we're supposed to have the little, the short resignation where she asked for him to go immediately from Jennifer Baptiste. We have that, guys?
Let me see what other videos we have. I saw they said that they didn't get one of the videos earlier. Let me see in the meantime. So let's get back to it. So we had Rowley's resignation early, first, and he resigned as political leader.
Right.
So there's a vacancy in the PNM for political leader. I don't know, you think you might throw your hat in the ring or what? Them looking for anybody, you know.
I wonder if Lala might get that, boy.
Go there with a broom. So here's the current status. So Rowley has left. Sinanan has left. So they have no political leader, one of the DPLs have left, no chairman. But that's not a political party, you know. That NGO.
I'm telling you. And they are the most stable party. Yes.
Yes. That's the video we had of
the most stable party it have. And as a matter of fact, Faris was asking what? The coalition of interest, if they will last 12 months. This opposition we have here in last 24 hours.
That's correct.
They last 24 hours.
That's correct.
And I don't think they could function as a opposition because here what's going on? If 6 support Penny, who the next 6 support?
That's correct. That's correct. Absolute chaos in the PNM. Absolute chaos. I'm trying to get the video to send to Justin in the meantime.
But now we will deal with that part later on. That is with the UNC thing, right?
Right.
But fellas, we have none of the PNM clips, man. All you're taking long to set it up.
For sure, you have the resignation of Stuart Young. Let's get that up. The wording is curious. So they call it a snap election all of a sudden, eh? Them call it, eh? Yeah. Come.
I'm concerned about a situation where an election shows up a government that has all the answers to the problems of this country on the expenditure side of the balance sheet. Right? It has to do largely with offering to pay more. I would love to see public servants get more. Public servants have got the most they ever got on the government. I was a public servant myself from the ILF school. I was a public servant. And I know that if government pays more to public servants, all of us better off. And especially those who receive it. Government's
one-page photo. In the meantime, you hear what he said? Public servants here getting the most. He counting himself in that public servant. That's why.
No.
He get the biggest package.
You see the thing with that public servants thing.
Mm-hmm.
No. There's a lot of promises that had been made on the campaign trail by both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I would like to publicly say expectations will be high.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the first 6 months, they will give them a time to settle down and to put their house in order.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the opposition rallying their troops now, they will put pressure on the government.
Mm-hmm.
So I am saying to Mrs. Bisesa, you see that 47% increase that was given by the Salaries Review Commission? I would glad to see you just hold back on that. Hold back on that 47%, the increase, and take it when the issues of the public servants has been addressed. Or when the country is in better footing, then take that. I think that will augur well with the population. Because she did say that she have no control over it when it was announced. So I think she should move in that direction and lead from in front. What do you think about that, Richard?
I was looking for one of the videos to share in the meantime.
And the part with the Prime Minister acting for a very short period of time. Like, for instance, Mr. Young, is it true that he will be getting the 87,000 per month pension when he resigns?
So I was looking into it, and all signs point to he will actually not, because he didn't help the position substantially for long enough.
Very good, very good. I think they should put a timeline. You have to be in the position and act for at least 5 years.
Yes. Okay, so we have some analysis coming in. Thank you. Regis got the highest margin. She actually got the largest victory margin. All right? She got 4,366. So Camille Robinson Regis actually is the PNM MP with the greatest number of votes, the greatest gap as well. All right? And the question is, well, why wasn't she considered? Is there some maybe that's where the other 6 was?
You have to find out who they supported.
You have to find out that. Or I don't know if maybe it was that comment she made on platform, or maybe the maths issue, or maybe the lack of bar fees and so on.
Not practicing.
Right. So who knows?
She deposit.
Right. Dominic Romaine has the smallest winning margin. Smallest. A little kakara again is 9 MP. 650. And look at this. The UNC and the other category, Patriotic Front, NT, and so on, and whoever else ran in Penny's seat, the UNC plus other actually outvoted Penny by 65 votes.
Serious?
So Penny is a minority MP.
I don't know, it was so close.
Penelope Beckles is a minority MP. UNC and other, again, Patriotic Front and so on, outvoted Gonzalez, Marvin Lopino, Aruka Lopino by, wait for this one, 459 votes.
So you see, third parties are just spoilers.
We'll get to that in a minute, but these people are minority leaders. Common sense tells you, you all should resign. The majority of people in those constituencies do not want you.
Yep.
Do not want you. You all should resign. That's the first thing. Second thing is, the same split vote factor we talk about. We tell Ole about this. 65 people waste their vote in Penny's constituency. That's Trinity. And 459 Reggie's. Yeah. Right? And 459 people. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Look at this, look at this. Yeah. Look at that. I think the UNC lost in Gonzalez's seat by, I think, 200 and change. 200 and look at that difference.
Boy, yeah, what's going on?
And then we would have had a constitutional majority.
No, but we could still have a majority with 26 plus 2.
It has 28.
And they have 13.
Yeah. So you see, we mentioned this to you all, We mentioned this to you all. All right? So just now, some figures are coming in as we're getting into it. Right, Young not entitled, I had it on standby in case it was raised. Young not entitled to Prime Minister pension. Outgoing Prime Minister Stuart Young is not entitled to a pension, which the former Prime Ministers are entitled to, because, of course, the gap was so small. The term of office, the substantive term of office, was so small. The rules for payment of pension is governed by the Pensions Act. All right, and Section 3.1 of the Act states, okay, let me just make a note of that, 262, we'll get back to that in a second. So Section 3.1 of the Act states that every person who, having been appointed Prime Minister after 1962, ceases at any time after such appointment to be Prime Minister shall be paid a pension under the Act with effect from the date on which he ceases to be Prime Minister, subject to subsection 2, until the end of his lifetime. Section 3, subsection 2 adds, the Prime Minister's pension shall, if the person to whom it is payable becomes a legislator or is again appointed Prime Minister, cease to be payable during the period in respect of which that person is a legislator or holds the office of Prime Minister. As the case may be, but where the rate of, so of course, because he's now being re-elected as a legislator, then of course, that stops him from getting the pension. Of course, right, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I just wanted to double check the figures. 262 was the vote margin difference. 262 was the vote margin difference in Aruka Lupino. 262 people could have made the difference in Aruka Lupino. All right, and like I said, that's a minority MP there because 459 people actually outvote. That's the difference. That's how many people outvoted. Of course, these results just came out. I'll usually do a chart and show you all on the next occasion, but it just came out, so this is what we have so far, roughly. So with 54% of the population exercising their franchise nationwide, the majority, the popular vote, goes to the UNC Coalition of Interest by a landslide. By a landslide. Third parties split the vote in at least 2 constituencies. All right? That's Trinity and Aruka Lopino and
Library.
And
what about library?
You see, you asking me thing. I had to look at my brother figures now. What are you telling me?
Because this is the first election.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't getting figures at all. from since election night, you wasn't seeing no figures from Diego Martin. They were slow in putting it on the screen.
Right. Labre is not one of the constituencies that they looked at right now. But okay, so let me get into this chart. The biggest margin: Trincity Maloney, Camille Robinson Regis. The smallest margin, 650, Malabar Mousica, Dominic Romaine. 459 is the margin of victory in Aruca Lupino, that's Gonzalez. And again, the other, this is what I was going for, the other is 721.
All of them are lose by small margins.
So the other is 721, and we lost the seat by 459 votes.
So if them didn't go that
So the 721 wastes all your vote. The 721 is the figure that wastes your vote. All right? Same thing in Arima. In Arima, 57 votes is the difference, and the other is 756. The difference is 57. 58 people who cast their vote for third party in Arima could have made the difference.
Well, but that's said and done.
Could have made the difference. All right? So as more figures come in, let's take our first break, or you want to analyze something?
No, you go ahead.
Let's take our first break. Give the guys a chance to reset, and let's load up some of the videos.
Yeah, I want to see Terrence.
And do it as we come back. Take us to the break now, Nazim.
Yes.
Introducing the finest selection from premium deli and meats. Savor the bold flavors of beef salami, beef pepperoni, and chicken ham. Indulge in our diced beef bacon and perfectly sliced beef bacon. Explore the rich taste of smoked beef and tender roast beef. Treat yourself to our juicy jumbo chicken hot dogs and beef hot dogs. Top it all off with the delicate flavors of smoked turkey breast and our premium whole turkey, all halal certified for your trust. Delivered to you by Chill Foods, Premium Deli and Meats, excellence in every bite.
The power. To shatter the strongest. Conquer the indestructible with Ronex's collection of angle grinders.
Chic Leisure Limited, making life easier. Our renowned great tasting vermicelli comes pre-cut in regular and parch, packaged to make preparation simple. Attention all doubles vendors and roti makers, try our high quality pre-sifted bromate free all-purpose and whole wheat flour, low price and conveniently packaged. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Chic Leisure Limited, Warrenville, Conopia. Chic Leisure Limited, quality you can trust.
Ronex's premium quality.
Mitsu Air Limited, authorized Mitsubishi air conditioning dealer. No need to replace your air conditioning units ever so often. Split units, cassette, ductable, CTVIF systems, and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited, 246 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. Give us a call at 674-4000 or 675-4000 or email us at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Cunupia.
Peanut and then you go with the letter.
Hello, good night. Welcome back. Okay, let's get Stuart's resignation letter. We got that one lined up, queued up. Let's go. So Stuart Young resigned today, April 30th. He sent a letter to the General Secretary of the PNM, Foster Cummings. So even though Foster lost his seat, he maintained his position as General Secretary. He too should resign, in my opinion. It has been an honor and an invaluable experience to be chairman of the PNM since December 2022. I have always served our party with a sense of pride, coupled with an acknowledgement of responsibility that representation comes with. After deep personal reflection of events culminating with the result of 2025 general election, I hereby tender my resignation as chairman of the PNM with immediate effect. All right, come back to me now. With immediate effect. So my question is, in the General Council, was Stuart there, and if so, in what role and what capacity, because he's not chairman? Was Rowley there, and if so, in what capacity? Now, we saw that video. I had the video queued up. He sat at the head table. He conducted the meeting as though he was chairman, but he resigned as political leader.
Right.
So in what capacity was he there?
He's a civilian right now.
Right, he's a civilian. So in what capacity was he present? Former political leader, former prime minister. I don't think the Constitution has any, is this better, guys? Has any room for that? So the question I have is, what chaos is going on in the PNM? And if you think that is chaos, let's go back to the figures, guys. Let's go back to the figures. All right? Now that we've had a minute to breathe, let's go back to the figures. I want the full results. There we go. So this is the document, the preliminary final results released from EBC, and this came out roughly 7 p.m. All right? So we only had an hour and a half of this out. There we go. So we have the total electorate, and then of course we have the different parties, UNC, PUP, and COP, all appear there, and then PNM, and then the total. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you have total voter turnout, 53.92. That's why earlier we said roughly 54%. All right? Let's zoom out a bit. Let's zoom out. And now let's get into the analysis a little bit. Let's get into it a little bit. And let me explain that hold on, let me get it back. Let me explain that in the following seats, these MPs are minority MPs, meaning they got less votes than the total number of votes against them in their electoral district. Combined. Yes, I like that word, combined. So that means more people voted against them than for them, right? In Arima, Penelope Beckles, who is now in Arima, supposed to be the first one, second now, yeah, because they changed, they added a wrong message. So in Arima, she got 7,055 votes. The UNC,
right, 755.
Right, 7055. The UNC got 6356. And then other, so we add, don't move the screen from there, we add PF, Patriotic Front, NTA, and any other independent that might be there. Right. We add all of that, and we get 756. When you add all of those figures, the UNC, the Patriotic Front, the NTA, you get more votes than Penelope got. You got more votes than Penny got. You understand? So Penelope Beckles won her seat, but she got less votes overall. So she actually lost her seat. She actually got less votes than the people who voted against her. So she got 57 votes less.
But based on how the election goes, that doesn't count.
No, well, we have person with the most votes overall. But what I'm saying is, the honorable thing to do is to resign because the people didn't choose you.
What thing?
What did I say?
What thing you just said? The honorable.
The honorable thing, correct. The honorable thing is to resign. So there we go. So come back to the data again. Let's go again. So Penelope Beckles, who is now the leader of the opposition, who is now the mouthpiece for the People's National Movement, is actually a minority MP. All right? Let's go again. Aruka Lopino. Marvin Gonzalez won that seat. That's the third one. That's the third one, guys. Aruka Lopino, Marvin Gonzalez got a mere 7,961. UNC got 7,699. And again, if you tally all the others, 721 in the other. Marvin Gonzalez lost that seat by 459 votes. So he is a minority MP by 459. He too should resign and let the people elect somebody that they really want. Let's go again. Come back out. Come back out. Let's go again. Malabar Mausika. PNM got 7,690. UNC got 7,428. The other in that category, look at that, is 912. 912 people voted third party. And that 912 caused Malabar Mausika to be in opposition. Because he is a minority, Dominic Romaine is a minority representative by 650 votes. 650 votes, while 912 waste their vote. All right? All right, this other figure stood out to me, and that is San Fernando East. You know that there was a recount there. San Fernando East should be almost at the bottom. There we go, San Fernando East. San Fernando East, Brian Manning, the heir to the Manning name.
7,026.
Only 7,026, boy. Right, UNC got 6,357, other 526. And he won that seat by 143. So 144 people would have made the difference. 144 from the 526 other. If that had gone UNC, you all would have been in government. All right, but nevertheless, that's just constituency figure analysis. We remain, the government is the government for everybody. But the point is, look at how the figures work. One of the lessons here is you waste your vote with third parties.
Yep.
You waste your vote with third parties. Look at this. All right? None of those people in the other category have a representative. So you've wasted your vote. And because you didn't vote for the next best alternative, which was the UNC coalition of interest, you've now forced a PNM MP to be your representative. And I say forced because there's no way anybody in their right mind wants to hold on to power knowing that the majority of people voted against them. All right, so let me just do very quickly. So we did a Rima, we did a Ruka Lopino. You can go back to the figures, guys. In Diego Martin, he won by a large margin, right? 2,695. All right, let's go to a figure. Let's go to Port of Spain, South Keats, Scotland. He only won by less than 2,000 votes. He won by 1831, 1,831. I did San Fernando East already, 143. So the PNM the seats that the PNM won, they really won it by very small margins. All right, the biggest of the small margins is actually 4,366. All right, so having said that, having done that analysis, we now conclude that is why the PNM is falling apart. Because more people actively voted against them than for them. The little support that they have within the party is crumbling. So they don't have Foster Cummings as an MP, and when you look at the pool that they have, when you look at from the 13 that they have, they've gone and forced themselves to appoint Penelope Beckles, even though she did not really win her seat, and we've explained why. So in those circumstances, we understand now why the PNM is crumbling from within. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that's correct, because as you say, Camille Robinson Regis, who is a senior member, and she had a runaway victory. So it may have some convulsions, even though they appoint Penny. Will they see eye to eye?
Right.
Because 6 and 1-7, the next 6, who they supporting?
Yeah, and you know that's an interesting point, because you have people like Brian Manning who win the seat by the skin of their teeth, and he wants to undo his father's legacy. He actually said this afternoon, that he wants to regress the party, regress the PNM from one man, one vote, and go back to the, there we go. Let's get it, guys. Let's get the audio.
Absolutely, is an end to the one man, one vote system. It is absolutely, in my view, that system has destroyed the party group system within the People's National Movement, and the party group system is the one competitive advantage that this party has had since independence in terms of winning elections. The one man, one vote system must be removed.
Would that be something you're going to put the general council upstairs
I absolutely will, yes. Absolutely.
Any other proposals or further issues or ideas that you would probably be presenting to the council?
Well, the People's National Movement went to elections on Monday, and the people of this country have spoken. And it is time for us to listen to what is being said, for us to regroup, do some introspection, and to decide what it is we must do better to better serve the people of this country. A lot of people believe that it was too much of a top-down approach in terms of how we govern and in terms of how the party was operating.
There we go. So he actually wanted to regress the party and take it away from one man, one vote. Of course, that was before 7 p.m. By the time the parliamentary caucus and general council was complete, Foster Cummings was asked whether or not that position was tabled by Brian Manning or anybody else, and whether there's any intention to change the constitution. And of course, he answered no. That I heard that on my way here tonight. So it baffles me, It baffles me that he wants to take away people's democracy, take away the right to vote. And your father built the party. Look at that. But anyway, it looks as though they're crumbling.
And what about...
And they lost the two Tobago seats too,
Well, boy, that is the happiest thing. You see them Tobago seats? I'm so glad they lost them Tobago seats. Those seats were so vital. Now, that's not going back in the hands of PNM.
Right.
Kojo and Ayana Webster-Roy, sorry. I'm really sorry for them.
Yeah.
But on the issue of swearing in now, Richard.
Right. But before that, we have a video. We have Terrence DLC.
Yeah, let me see Terrence.
Yeah, let's go now. Because he's on the way out after we mightn't hear about him from next weekend thing.
It was sad. I pulled aside and I literally, a tear came to my eye. It did. Wept. I really wept when I saw what was taking place.
That's a little meme. That's a little joke going around on social media there.
Cry again, boy.
Look at that. We're only dancing. He was dancing on stage and thing. Like if a Jep sting him.
I see this man jump like a little girl, boy.
Yeah.
I say, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
He going
Look
through,
at
boy.
that. All right. Okay. So you're going to get to the swearing. Yes. Kamala to be sworn in tomorrow, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Kamala is to be sworn in as the Prime Minister. Now, guys, we have the Constitution, little excerpt there of appointment of senators. You could just flash out on the screen. I'll just summarize it. The government has a catchment of senators, 16, and that has to be filled. It is not uncommon for cabinet members to come from the Senate as well as the lower house. So I think that will happen. Guys, look, Insurance sent us a video here, so I'm going to forward it to you. Yes, there we go. So I think that has to happen. You have the Constitution snippet. You can bring it up very quickly. It simply says that the Senate will be appointed with, there we go. That's it. All right, you come back to me now. So it's basically 16 on the government side. I think that...
9 on the opposition side.
Is it not 6?
I think it's 6.
I think it's 6.
And independent is how many?
9.
Right,
9.
make it up.
Yeah, so there we go. So what happens is the opposition leader advises the president, who will be appointed as the 6 opposition senators. The president appoints the independent bench, and the government of the day, in this case will be Kamala Persaud-Bissessar, will appoint her 16. The point I was raising was that it's not uncommon, just when I sent you the video in Jan Centers, let me know when it's up, the government will appoint the 16, and the government will comprise of ministers and junior ministers and so on. And cabinet will be ministers, and it is not uncommon for the Senate as well as the lower house to form the government. So the swearing in tomorrow should be Prime Minister first, Attorney General, and then both of them will now form a government. And they will, of course, appoint senators and appoint ministers and junior ministers. And then from there, we will see what a government, a Kamala Persaud 2025 government looks like. All right, so she has 26 already. She's entitled to the Senate. And let's see what happens. So at 4 p.m. tomorrow, all of those questions will be answered.
Right. And
I think somebody called me today and asked me if swearing in is tomorrow at 4, if that means you have to reach for 2 o'clock. I hear you drop your suit by the press and tell them rush, job.
Which one are you press to talk about, Guardian or Express? Eh?
Right. So right, what you want to ask about swearing in now?
Right. No, a lot of people, you see, they keep asking, people calling me and asking me, so why the Prime Minister ain't swearing as yet?
Yeah.
I say, but there is a process.
Correct.
You have to wait for results to be confirmed.
Right.
And then the president will set a time and a date when the swearing is going to take place.
Right.
And as far as I see, they say it's tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Tomorrow at 4 p.m. And that announcement was made since yesterday.
But some people,
yesterday.
You see, with social media, people wondering if all the information is correct.
Right.
And it's not, it's just people throwing out things.
Yeah. Dr. Verna Dial Singh actually made some statements about the negative effects, the 5 stages of depression. And one of the first 2 is denial. Eh? So some of those people may be going through denial at this stage.
They still cannot get over it.
No, man, this was long overdue, man. If you run a country the way the PNM ran the country, then this has to happen.
No, but I am amazed to know that people now coming out and saying so many things about Rowley, right? So many things about Rowley and Stewart. What happened in 2020?
Right. There was a man, one of the gentlemen I mentioned earlier, one of the protesters outside Balize House when I talked about it earlier, he actually held up a sign,
yes,
stop the bullying.
I saw that.
So their own supporters knew what was going on inside.
And they stayed quiet, but now, because that defeat, that massive defeat, you're hearing them all kind of things coming out.
Correct.
All kind of things coming out. When they could have done this in 2020,
right,
and our lives would have been plenty better.
That's it.
Correct. Look, check how more lives could have been saved.
Right. So you said somebody called you and said, well, it should have happened faster. Well, the PNM should have put a house in order faster.
And I don't want to,
and we warned them, eh? You and I sat on this show and warned them since last year.
Sunday we warned them.
And up to from the first to the last, we warned them, and they didn't listen.
But a lot of people call me and tell me that's through Sunday. Make them go out and vote, eh?
You think so?
Yeah, people meet me and told me that.
I'm glad that we could have a positive impact on country.
Right, exactly.
I'm glad. And all we did was we asked them to exercise their democratic rights.
That's all you had to do.
All right. If this is the stuff in Chan Centers, yeah, let's have it. I think this is Penny's acceptance of the role. Yeah.
Very pleased to present to you the incoming opposition leader for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Member of Parliament for Arima, the Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson. I now invite Ms. Robinson to address you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. We just completed our exercise, our General Council meeting, where I was, first of all, I think you all would have seen a release where 6 of my colleagues would have recommended me, and there is the endorsement of the entire General Council for me to be the opposition leader. I want to take this opportunity to thank, the entire General Council, to thank my colleagues, my other 12 colleagues who will also be supporting and endorsing me, and I look forward to being the first female leader of the opposition of the People's National Movement. I will take any questions.
First woman to lead the PNM as in opposition.
Not only that, but we now have a country which I think is more progressive than a lot of countries, where our 3 heads of state, so to speak, the
president,
the actual head of state, the president, the prime minister, and the leader of the opposition are all women. And as men on this show, I think we can appreciate that.
Yes, of course. Once they fulfilling the jobs that they were put there to do, no problem.
Of course. And Moody, you asked what was the margin of victory, or curtail rather, for Terence Dialsing. It is 3,236. 3,236.
And that was about 600 or 800 last time.
And that the difference there was 421. Remember we discussed it? So actually, if we use this figure and plug it into the litmus test for marginality,
that is no longer marginal.
St. Joseph is no longer a marginal. Yeah. If you use this figure, it is now a UNC CFC, so to speak.
But
so look at that.
Somebody
you did well, Uncle Moody. You did well.
Yeah. Somebody beat me to the draw because I was going and put a post about the last time we went in the Guinness Book of Records was with the guy who beat the pan for Regrello.
3 days, right?
Regrello. I can't remember the amount of time. And I said, wait now, we're going in the Guinness Book of Records again.
For the what?
Stuart Young make the Guinness Book of Record?
For the Prime Minister. The shortest Prime Minister?
Time, from 25
I
to
thought
25.
he was going to tell me he make the Guinness Book of Records the greatest bend over.
25 to 25, boy. They got to put a passport size picture of him.
Up in the
Vivian Gallery, where they have the other big pictures. They got to put a passport size picture for him because he only...
Imagine that. His entire political career amounts to now a footnote in our history books. 22 hours, a caretaker, and he didn't have to, That's the part that boggles my mind. He did not have to accept that role. He could have just called the elections.
Yes, exactly.
There was nothing gained from giving Stuart Young the reins for 22 hours. I think it's an embarrassment, actually, because you gave him Prime Minister, he appointed a cabinet, a full cabinet, and then 3 hours after or thereabout, you call an election. What nonsense is that? Some of those new cabinet appointments, like the Minister of Finance, never got a chance to go in Parliament and talk.
Yeah, but he
appointed a Minister of Housing and he never even gave out a key. Imagine that. I think it's an embarrassment.
Do you think that they didn't know that? Embarrassment, they are accustomed with that.
I think the PNM and the hierarchy in the PNM spent so long governing people from the clouds that they forgot that we are quite an intelligent population and we are quite a progressive population. We've done it time and time again, where we often vote out a government, and in this case, if the analysis is correct in that PNM people just stayed home, this is one of the rare occasions where actually people came out in their hundreds of thousands to vote in a government.
Now the next thing, Richard, you see this 5-year term?
Right.
You is a man big in the
My shoe size big.
in the fraternity. Right? I don't want a 5-year term, you know.
Right.
I want a 10-year term.
Right.
So you see this incoming government here?
Right.
They have to work.
Correct.
They had to work. I know the East-West Corridor support, I have no problem.
Right.
Work for them. But do not forget your South people. Do not forget your base.
Yeah.
They have a tendency, they will push most of the resources to where they get votes in marginal constituencies.
Yeah.
I say help everybody, because South people has been neglected by this P&M government. When you drive in South and you see the condition of roads, landslips and all those things, we shouldn't have that.
Yeah.
So you, I know with your influence, you could probably, say something.
Influence? I can influence a mosquito to bite me.
Watch.
But you said something, and I think looking at the campaign as it unfolded, on more than one occasion, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar mounted several platforms and sat in several of those community council meetings, those village council, and said that, listen, I accept that I've made mistakes in the past. I'm only human. I accept that there was some missteps in the last administration in 2010, 2015, and I did my best given my experience and my circumstances at the time. And as a young person who was there in 2010, old enough to understand what transpired, and as a young professional now, I have to believe that I do see a change in Kamala Prasad-Bissessar.
That is good.
And I do believe that she has learned, as we all have, because there are things I know now that I didn't know in 2010, and things I wish I knew in 2010 that I know now. And like I wish I had known you back in 2010. So
I was only 20.
He was only 20, and look, and now he is 21. 15 years later, he's saying Guyanese dollars. See what I mean? So I think she has learned a valuable lesson. And on the point of experience, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she is actually the most senior politician in our parliament today. She is the most, I thought about that on the drive up. She's actually the most senior in terms of years in service. And of course, that will translate to the person who held the most office, because she held Attorney General, both acting and substantive under Basti Upande, Minister of Education, and then Prime Minister in her own capacity, and then of course now Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, and then Prime Minister again. So I think collectively she has the most valuable experience, most years in service and most valuable experience. And that is important, I think, going in. So while I agree with you, she has come out in the past and said and maintained certain positions, and even on victory night, she was steadfast in her belief that this is a victory of the people, all people, correct. North, East, West, and South. So we look forward to seeing what they can do. Look how the time is flyer. Just on Justin and them go start a message and say, take the second ad.
But you saw a post on Facebook.
What the post said?
With the person in charge of the police. What's the guy name? No, the head of the police service. I'm trying to remember his name, man. He want.
What did he say?
He want his settlement now with the wage increase.
As you said that, up to 1 o'clock this afternoon, I inquired. Up to 1, then I had some meetings, so I didn't get to double check it again. But I mean, what has happened? Two things. What has happened with the bold promise of $1 million for the Paria divers?
That is the first thing she had to do.
First item on the agenda. Was that a mere promise? What, you see how them wanted to thief people's head? You see how they was lying?
Because
and
they got, I think Ramadan gave them, I think it's 14 days.
Correct, and the 14-day deadline came and went.
And they didn't do anything.
And they didn't give the money. All right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, what about the fire report from the death of the P&M MP? Lisa Morris. What about that? That was promised to be released by the Minister of Public Utilities, and it has not been, again, another promise. I never promised. They really say P&M stand for promises never materialize, you know. Correct. They really say that. They really say that. Look how the timeless flight. Just when they go start to say we have to take calls. What you want to do? You want to make some points and then go to break?
Let's go to the list. Guys, you know the list things people want happen immediately?
Yes.
Let's go to that. So we'll just browse it through to see how people suffer
what the feeling is like on the ground.
Wonder Wig. I wonder that is wages. Now, hear what people want immediately. They suffer for 9 odd years, 9 odd years, But here what they're looking for now. No crime from tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not a murder or death.
Right.
Crime rate must have a drastic drop.
But for the record, Wonderwig, every time the UNC is in government, there is a decrease in crime,
Of course.
There is always a decrease in crime. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Bread should be $5.
Right.
I say bread should be $2.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I must be able to buy a whole grocery with $300. Why you didn't complain 9.5 years ago?
No, she could come with $300 US. But all this time you go get it $300 US.
All of a sudden, $300. You suffer your tail for 9.5 years.
Yeah.
And now you want these things tomorrow.
Overnight.
You see these people dumb?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on with these people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will leave out the rest.
You will leave out the rest.
All right, I think we could take a break and come back and
then
calls.
open the phone lines.
Yeah, open it. Let the
go
callers
straight to the
have a
phone
say.
lines.
But
Yeah?
before we go, I just want to say assalamu alaikum to Mr. Nizam Ali. Now, while I was in the hospital, this guy, that's the guy who sent the Buckleys for me.
Right.
Don't know the gentleman. He just saw the program and he see how I was coughing. He sent Buckleys for me. And he used to call me every day while I was in the hospital. Every day as a rule. Now, I do know the gentleman. I still haven't met him. But Zach know his son. Yeah. Right? So the gentleman a real nice person. I had to meet him in public one of these days.
Yeah. And I also want to give a shout out to one of the gentlemen who met me in Arangwe St. Joseph on Monday. Very nice gentleman. I did not take his name in the heat of Monday's election going on. I did not get his name, but good to meet you, sir. And then even this afternoon, today, at my office, another gentleman came in the building for something else. Good to meet you as well. Both of them told me the same thing. You know what they tell me? I'm looking smaller in real life than...
They know that you could walk in between them raindrops?
Well, I find since you getting Buckley's, I could get a little pilau or chicken roti or something. I'll go put on some size.
We will arrange that. All right, guys, we can go for the breakdown. And when we come back,
we can go brilliant and get through.
Introducing the finest selection from premium deli and meats. Savor the bold flavors of beef salami, beef pepperoni, and chicken ham. Indulge in our diced beef bacon and perfectly sliced beef bacon. Explore the rich taste of smoked beef and tender roast beef. Treat yourself to our juicy jumbo chicken hot dogs and beef hot dogs. Top it all off with the delicate flavors of smoked turkey breast and our premium whole turkey, all halal certified for your trust. Delivered to you by Chill Foods, Premium Deli and Meats, excellence in every bite.
The power. To shatter the strongest. Conquer the indestructible with Ronex's collection of angle grinders.
Chic Leisure Limited, making life easier. Our renowned great tasting vermicelli comes pre-cut in regular and parch, packaged to make preparation simple. Attention all doubles vendors and roti makers, try our high quality pre-sifted bromate free all-purpose and whole wheat flour, low price and conveniently packaged. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Chic Leisure Limited, Warrenville, Conopia. Chic Leisure Limited, quality you can trust.
Ronix Premium Quality.
Mitsu Air Limited, authorized Mitsubishi air conditioning dealer. No need to replace your air conditioning units ever so often. Split units, cassette, ductable, CTVIF systems and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited, 246 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. Give us a call at 674-4000 or 675-4000 or email us at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
You saying, huh? Yeah, Uncle Moody. Easy man. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Breaking Barriers. I'm your host, Richard Jagasa, and we're with Uncle Nazim tonight. So, we're opening up the phone lines. We'll take some calls. We'll get how people feel.
Yeah, what their reactions.
Right, where they were.
After the election
Monday
and
night.
what going on. The convulsions in the PNM.
Yes.
It was expected. You know, you give your point of view.
Yeah, and if you have PNM friends or people who voted for third parties, let them call in. Let them call in and let's try to understand what happened. Let's dissect and deal with it. All right, we ain't gonna buff nobody. We ain't aggressive. That's not his style.
We turn no bully here.
No, it's no bully here.
The two bullies gone.
One resigned and one resigned.
Both of them
one
were
resigned by force.
Both of them were forced. Anyhow, you take it.
Yeah. There's another letter I had. Let me see if I can get it.
Hello, good evening, caller. Hello?
Hi.
Good evening.
I'm on the program.
Yes, you are.
You're live. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for taking the call to this two good gentlemen. My request is to see this government in power, right? Once you make your people happy, right, by giving them their medication when they go to the hospital, they could get the medication. What is happening now in the PNM regime? When you go to the hospital, they get half of your medication and the other half they can't get it. Give the people their medication, right? Give them their water, fix the road, make them happy. They say no taxes on whatever, right? But I'm saying once you make your people happy and they're comfortable, you could go ahead and do your projects.
Correct.
Right? Like building a highway from San Fernando straight to Miaro, where people live in. All right? Thank you so much.
Correct. I hear people talking about the new highway going through Komoto.
Why go? Hello?
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 Yes, hello, caller?
Yes. One more thing. I would like to see when she was in power, UNC was in power, right? You had access to all your MP by phone. You could have called them and get on to them. I hope she will introduce that back to the constituencies, that they could call the MP, because I'm calling from Cuba South and we had Rudy. If you call Rudy and everything, he always texts and say, "I'm a meeting, I'll call you right back." And he always does. I will hope that all these MPs, that people could go to the office and then get no runaround, and they could be able to see their constituency and hear the problems. Thank you so much.
All right, caller.
I'm glad he made that point. I'm glad, because that's proper representation of the people, because MP stands for Member of Parliament for a constituency, and he needs to represent the views of the constituency or represent the views of the constituents in Parliament. So that is an excellent point. While most of them will be ministers, if not all, or hold junior ministerial portfolios, don't just sit as a minister in a silo. All right, understand the needs of your constituents. And the people who did that best were people like Jack Warner, Ramesh Maraj, gentleman mentioned Rudy and Dar Singh. Yeah. You know, Munilal is also a good example of that. Barry Padarat. Those are
Abuto, Telia Vandana.
Vandana and so on. And I think we're in for a good haul, a good 5 years, you know?
All right. Yes, we have a caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. I called to say this. This is Gary. I called to say this. Long as I have this license in this body, I don't ever want to see a PNM go back again. I don't want to hear PNM go back. That's all. That's what I thought to say. I'm glad they gone. And all of them going like white folks and tick. Thank you all very much. A little care of a good program. God bless all your time.
All right. Good night. Yeah. She don't want PNM again. Bro.
As long as she lives.
Hello, good evening.
You and me both, girl.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I have a question for you guys.
All right, go ahead.
I want you to call Ms. Pandey and Mr. Griffith and ask them why did they enter the election knowing that they were going to split the votes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, since the beginning, we said that was going to happen. And they didn't see it fit in the earlies to try and see, if they could have worked with Ms. Bisesa. Like how PEP and other small, like the unions, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So they, I believe they ego. You see ego?
Yeah.
Ego is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening, caller.
Hi, good night.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, gentlemen.
Wa alaikum assalam.
And a good night to you. Mr. Jagisa, I listened to your analysis, and I agree with you that the PNM people may have won by minority number of votes, and maybe we should go back to the polls. However, I have a tendency to disagree with you in thought that they split votes, right? I think we have to give credit where credit is due. The people who voted for other parties would have chosen not to vote either for the PNM or for the UNC, and that's their right.
Right.
So, like we said, if you add those totals, like in, I think it's Penny's case, you would have had more votes voting against you. I am saying, yes, I agree with you with that. But I still feel we can't say that this is not fair to the UNC that they have lost because the votes were split, because that is the choice of people to want to vote for another party.
Okay, fair enough. And I understand what you're saying. They chose to cast their vote for a third party, a smaller party, as opposed to one of the major two parties. And what I'm saying is that choice has now resulted in their seat being controlled by an opposition MP. So while that is their democratic and constitutional right, their choice, and their choice being a minority choice, because in some instances 7,000, 6,000, 8,000 people didn't have that same opinion as them, that choice has now forced all of those people, 7, 6, and 8,000 as the cases may be, forced all those people to now have an opposition MP. Now, I don't think that will negatively affect those residents, because we all continue to drive on the same highways, on the main roads, have the same food prices, and so on at the groceries. So in that larger context, it's not going to make much of a difference. But if you look at it holistically, we had an opportunity here very close for a mandate to include constitutional reform, and we missed it. So when you look at it holistically in that respect, I say it's a bit skewed and something could have happened. So only in that context, but the underlying belief that those 721 people, as the case may be, might be entitled to vote as they had desires for third parties or smaller parties, then that underlying principle remains true and correct. I am simply saying that it is my belief that their heart should have been swayed by way of logic and reason, and understood that their vote another way could have resulted in such grander things. Constitutional majority is just one minor thing in that grand scheme. Yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
Hello,
That's all I'm saying.
Hello, good evening, caller. Sorry about that.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Great. Yes, I'm calling from Bukavu. Am I live?
Yes, Mr. Bukaru.
Yes. Firstly, I must congratulate the people of Trinidad and Tobago for putting their finger where they're really supposed to put it. And secondly, I must say, in election, you have two things, win, lose. So if you lost, you should be happy. If you win, you should also be happy. But the things I really want to see this government do to help the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My first point is opening all the health centers 24 hours. I remember I did call on the radio station many moons ago when Dr. Fuad Khan was the health minister, and he is the one, on the advice of my call, that started the health centers to open them the 24 hours. Because they are telling people to get sick from 8 to 4. No, you could get sick in the night too. That is one. The next thing is them, if government want to make some money, they should get into agriculture. And agriculture is the way we had the cocoa and the coffee that we had. We could go back to it. It may not be a 2 days project. We have 5 years in power and we make another 5 years. And tourism, that's the key thing they should try right now in Trinidad. Tourism, I feel that also could make some money. And the next thing is about the judicial system. I know my brother there is in the judicial system. And our cases take too long to finish, 8, 10, 12 years and all the obscene language case taking 2 years and all kind of things. I find that should be speed up, give the police a yearly diary, so they don't have to be in a RIMA court today and be in Shawona's court the same day. They would have the days at the court, they would address the magistrate and tell the magistrate, look, this is how it is. My next point is, things that I think the government could do very easily through the county councils and all these sorts of things, the road system. Because, oh God, your car does mash up before it even want to mash up. Roads, very, very bad. The Bukavu would have paid one time in our life when Bapdev Pandit was in power. And I am living here now 70 years. I'm 77 years of age. And one time they have ever paved it. And if it wasn't them, we wouldn't get no water. We need roads, we need lights, and we need water. And medication at the hospital. If we get these things, definitely people doesn't want much things, you know. That is all they want. And if they give them that, definitely they would make our next 5 years and probably our next 15 years. And one suggestion I want to suggest, but no, the politician wouldn't want that. I think 2 terms should be for all politicians, so we get a younger person, or a person who in there would be one day would be achieving the status of Prime Minister or leader of the opposition. I thank you ever so much for this opportunity.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's true, you know. You just have to make the people happy, you know.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Hello, good evening.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, good evening. Go ahead.
Okay, you hear me now better, Richard?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. You're live.
Right. Okay, now I hope that caller who just called there, I hope he went and vote for the UNC, because I remember on a call-in program, he said he was going to withhold his vote for the UNC because apparently, something that they're not seeing the MPs and, and getting a response and what have you. I'm getting a feedback, Richard, from you. Yeah?
Okay. All right, caller.
How you know which caller was which?
No, well, the one before was Bokaro.
No, but how he know that's the same person who called before?
No, he hear him on a radio station.
So how we know it was the same person on the radio station?
He just always say he from Bokaro.
Oh, you mean his voice sound like the same person?
No, on the radio station, he just say Bokaro calling.
All right.
Hello, good evening. Hello?
Hello, good night.
Good night, sir.
Yes, one more thing that the government needs to look at. This importation of the gasoline that's coming into Trinidad.
Like from Jamaica.
Yeah, I saw that in a report.
I don't know if I'll ever notice, as they put in gas, the thing is evaporating, I don't know, it's finishing in like no time, even though it's more money for it. It's something, they need to look at that as soon as possible.
Yeah, I saw that come up, so I think that'll be on stream. I think that'll be raised quite early.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening, caller. Hello?
A very good evening and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Good evening.
So I just have 2 quick things. One, Renuka Sagram Singh Ramlal. I have looked at her in Parliament and in other programs, and she's always bitter and spewing venom. She said a lot of disrespectful thing about the politics. Kamala Prasad. I never see a smile in that lady face. And today she is doing videos and she calm like, you know, when Baji cooked down, she boiled down like Baji and calm and smiling and saying what she had to say, right? So I mind that. And two, Faris Alwari, that statement they make was immature, childish, nasty, that they're going to implode in 12 months.
Yes.
Everybody, world leaders, everybody calling and congratulating the people. The most polite thing to do is to do the same thing. Congratulate them and wish them well. It's for everybody in the country. Right? You wishing that you know they will implode in 12 months. Right now, Faris imploding. All the best.
Yeah, but on that point, the night of the television interview, a reporter asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
On 103, he asked the panel how long the UNC and coalition of partners is going to last. I find that was such a ridiculous question.
Yeah.
And I know the individual, I know his name too, I know his name too. So when I hear he said, I said, but what's wrong with them, boy? They say never ask Rowley them, nothing like that, them reporters. And so when they asking questions, they just put themselves for licks, open themselves for licks.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening. Hello?
Yeah, hello, good night. Nazim, good night.
Hey, good night, man.
Charlie, boy.
You're sounding real happy, boy.
Yeah, I hear this, to tell you the honest truth, after I went down around with Saturday and I see that crowd stand up in that hot sun, partner, I just don't know what was going to happen. I didn't know it would be so big one time now. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? And let me tell you something, the people surprised me and all too, because I and all thought otherwise now. But here what, I'm glad it happened so. We had to just work with them now. We had to give them their fair chance. But let me tell you something, let me tell you what I want in the short term, man. You see the true status of the economy.
Correct.
They had to come out and make it public.
Correct. I agree with that.
We want to know what is the true status of our economy right now, where we stand, and how we're going to look going forward. Because people want the moon and stars already.
And the foreign debt. We have to know the debt. Debt.
But that's what I mean. When I say the state of the economy, you let me know how much debt we have, how much money we have, where the money going, how the money going, who have, whatever contracts outside. You have to make everything public so the nation will know where we stand now. So people will know what they could get and what could happen in the short term, in the long term, all these kind of things. Let me tell you the two things I want to see. They have to have a proper commission and inquiry into this EBC, right?
Yes.
Because you see this election here. First time I see an election in my whole entire life, and them bringing out no kind of proper statistics days after. CNN areas, they know how much votes people get until yesterday, and I don't know if they come out with it today.
The same night, you used to see all the figures in all the constituencies.
Correct. And the next day in the papers, they have a whole page with everything listed out. All the candidates and all the votes and everything they get. You ain't seen nothing like that this time. And before I go further, the next thing I want to see is a commission inquiry into the whole of the COVID. Because let me tell you something, a lot of foreign currency come into this country on that COVID. And a lot of money gets squandered and a lot of money gets thief on that COVID.
Yeah,
and
because...
they need to do a commission inquiry to find out where all this money go now. Who have it? And we need to get back some of that money into the country. Right?
Well,
anyhow, fellas?
Yeah, I agree with you with that one. You see that COVID money? We have to find out where that goes.
I'm telling you, it's a lot of foreign currency. They get money from all over the world. They get money from. Where all that money gone?
And they get so much vaccines donated, so they didn't have to really purchase vaccines.
Let me tell you what will fall under that too. You see all that non-disclosure with Terence Yalty used to come on TV and smile to the nation about. All them had to come out into the open. We have to know who we make deal with and how much money spent to get all these things done. Because a lot of money waste and a lot of money thief under this government. Anyhow, fellas, I take up too much of the time.
Okay, cool one.
To the UNC, congratulations to Penelope Beckers. Congratulations to you too. Fellas, I'll have a good week, bye.
Yeah, man.
Really
Okay.
nice.
Hello, good evening. Hello?
Hello, good night. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I would like to say congratulations to the UNC and the people of Trinidad and Tobago for lifting this dark cloud that was over the nation. One. Two, does it change the constituency in the Port of Spain West going on here? Because it seems that every corner there's a constituency. How could they win so many seats in just a small portion? Thank you.
I think the area is so heavily populated. They look at it in that aspect. The demographic is small, but when they cut it and they check the amount of votes, I think that's how they work it, right, Richard?
Yeah, so we've looked at the legislation before. Every election, it adjusts a little bit, but it's generally around 25,000 is the minimum and around 32,000 is the maximum, and that forms a constituency. And they add PDs or take out PDs to adjust those figures accordingly if a constituency drops below the minimum. Now, it changes every election. The difficulty we are having is in this election, we've seen firsthand names that are appearing on the lists, the revised lists of electors, of deceased people. Names are appearing on lists in constituencies, and the owner of the property is saying, I don't know that person never lived here, and so on. So we've seen firsthand in this election the potential, I'm not saying it's a conclusion or finding a fact, the potential for a list to contain names that is not a proper voter in a constituency. And therefore, a list may contain, let's say 25,000 is the cap, the minimum cap. A list may contain 25,000 and one voter, but 5 of the voters are deceased.
Correct.
So then that will make that constituency not a constituency by the definition, by EBC's regulations, because the number of voters fall below the minimum catchment. And then that would mean that that constituency has to open up, has to add a PD or 2 to bring it up to the level. Equally, some constituencies might have to take out PDs and give it to other constituencies. I think it is high time for EBC to conduct an internal audit and a commission of inquiry into the seat dissection and to determine whether or not we are operating under bad data, whether or not our revised electoral list is a proper revised electoral list. I think there needs to be cohesion between EBC's list of electors and the Ministry of Legal Affairs Department that issues death certificates. I think the person who's named as the informant, who is the person who informs the relevant department that this person has died, also has a duty to report the death to EBC, and that way the name could come off the list of electors. I think that is a short-term and immediate stopgap measure we can include now while we conduct the audit and while we conduct any commission of inquiry, and while we commit ourselves to some nexus, some connection between the Legal Services Department and EBC. So as soon as somebody dies and that death certificate is issued, EBC gets a notice. John Doe, born on the 1st of January 1902, his name is flagged to come off the list.
All right, let's take this caller. Hello, good evening, caller. Sorry about that. Hello?
Hello?
Good evening, sir. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Gentlemen, I think this population feels that a switch has been thrown and Trinidad and Tobago now is a different place that it was for the last 10 years. And you see, what people not realizing that for the last 10 years, this country was or has been totally dysfunctional. It was just governed by a couple people who made all the decisions that they feel was right for them, not for the country. And I don't think people realize how much destruction has been done in every sector of Trinidad and Tobago that needs real commitment and the skills and the competent people to start to rebuild this country back the way it's supposed to be. Now, we are hearing everybody calling in and recommending this and recommending that. But most of the same people who were calling in were people who was championing the cause for the leader of the UNC to step down. That she incompetent, she not good, and she too old, and all kind of nonsense. Even your former host of this show was championing that cause. But we are here today. The lady has fought the struggle, and she's the Prime Minister today. And what people have to understand is we probably have to start from ground zero to bring back this country to any sort of structural governance. And that will take a lot of hard work. And the calls and the demands that we're hearing already, people have to try and be a little considerate and try to just forget the 10 years that we went through and feel that a switch is just going to be thrown and
it's a lot of hard work.
Everything would just be starting back like normal. We'll have free trade, we'll have good food prices, good road, everything. Just look at where Trinidad and Tobago really is. And then, like one of the callers mentioned, we have to do an analysis of where the financial situation of Trinidad and Tobago really is right now. The money that we owe, the money that is generated, and then we can start there. And that will take a little time. But I think that the country has faith in the leadership and the governance that has been elected. The citizens have spoken, and we need just to bear a little and let the people do the work, and don't try to force too much a result too early, because you know what has happened with that. It will end up in chaos.
Yeah, but Barack Paul.
Yeah.
You know the individuals we have in this country.
Definitely.
You think in about, let's say, they get the figures, the true figures of what really happened in this country. What they will say now is that, but you went on the platform and you promised me this, and you know they will rile up the supporters.
Definitely.
And that is where the chaos is going to start.
Now, we already seen the chaos that has taken place in the PNM with their structure across there. But I think with the commitment of this government, once we fulfill and we start back to gain trust in the outside society, like for trade and investment and things, I don't think we will see an ex-PNM existing in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Because when you follow the history of the PNM, every time they came out of governance is when the country was at its lowest. And somebody had to come and take the fall and bring back the country to some sort of governance, and they come back in.
Right,
the country has woken up.
No, well, that is the point. That is the point, Barakpo. You see what has happened? A party will come in power and be there for 5 years. I don't want, like PNM, let's get there 10 years, right?
Yeah.
I don't want this government to get 5 years. I want them to be there for 10 years.
And definitely they would be. Trust me.
All right, they have to do the correct thing.
Definitely. And you see the dissidents and thing that left the platform, left the party, that is probably was a blessing in disguise for better things to happen in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't need no sort of conflict and confusion right now where leadership is concerned for this country to move together. And let me tell you something, if the PNM was doing what is right for Trinidad and Tobago, I would have supported them also.
Correct.
I just want good governance for Trinidad and Tobago and to have a future for this country.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Have a good night and enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, before we take the other call, you see, it boils down to, I know there's a whole list of deliverables. I know there's promises made on both sides and so on. I know that it's gonna be a task. But it boils down to every time the PNM is out of office and another government takes the reins, especially the UNC, certain things happen, always. Happens at different degrees, it happens at different levels, but it happens. In this case, if you ask somebody who was probably at Merchant Suchan Road on Monday night, going into Tuesday morning, well, why are you so happy? You know what? It's not as though everything is going to be fixed in the morning. No light switch, as the gentleman mentioned. Somebody might say, well, now GATE is going to re-include certain programs so my daughter could go to tertiary education. Now they're going to have expansion of school feeding. So now breakfast and lunch back on the table from a child. So now they can go to school. Now the hospital is going to have beds, nursing equipment. Some of the medical facilities are going to be open 24/7. Those are things that generally happen when you see in government. Crime is going to take a decrease. There are going to be expansions in our police forces and our mobile patrols, highway patrols, and so on. Just to name a few. So at the very least, lawyers, well, I might say, I tend to speak to clients like this. At the very least, you're walking away with X amount of money. At the very least, you're going to get those things. You're going to get gate reopen, easy access to education. Kamala has promised laptops to be reintroduced.
Doctors visiting senior citizen home.
Exactly. At the very least, you're going to get those things. You're going to get hospitals, improvement in the services provided in the hospitals, and of course, crime is going to decrease, and housing.
And don't forget, you're forgetting the elders.
The pension. Nobody touching their pension.
No.
Increase in pension.
Tax-free
pension. Yes, there we go. So tax-free pension. So at the very least, that is what's going to happen. And that's what drives people towards the UNC and against the PNM. We're over time, but we have some other callers.
Yeah, let's take the call.
Hello,
good evening, caller. Hello.
Good night, Dr. Nazim.
Yes, sir. Good night.
And good night to your son there. Yes, sir. I have a small little request and a little advice.
Make up your mind, a small little request or a small request?
Both. Now, here, the last government, they increased the salaries and so on, inclusive of back pay and all of that, right? Now, listen to this. Inflation went up, eh? And then we have old people like you and me on the same pension.
Right.
And I think they should apply that as well to the old people pension, so you could dye your hair, and I could dye mine too. Now, the next thing is, if you're thinking of where you're going to get the money from, you could be sent some of that where they have, and they have plenty other rentals and all kinds of things that we could find the money from to finance it. Because basically, 160,000 pensioners getting about, 20-25 million per month?
I don't know the figure.
I know, that's a hazard guess. But you see, we could do it. And we could do it, I said do it tomorrow, but because we're in the wish list season, we want to add that to the list. And so we could give them enough time, and it will fall in place. That's a must, because these old people and them, they're so important to keeping things in our order, partner. We will recognize that, right? So we want to see that. I shall make over. I'll give somebody a chance to talk.
All right. Yes, sir. Okay. Thanks, man.
All right. I think they locked off the calls there after that one.
Oh, no, that is it.
I think that's it for the 9th. We're over the time. So you want to wrap up?
All right. Yes, viewers, we want to thank you again for viewing. As it stands, election come and go on. A lot of promises were made. We will just have to wait and see how things unfold. But we had to have patience. I see in one of the papers they're talking about no honeymoon period, because this not all the people who will be involved in it were directly involved the last time. So they should have a grace period. I say within the first 3 months, let everybody get their foot in. And as I say, everything will come in time. We just want this government to be truthful with us, give everybody their due, treat everybody equally, and they will reciprocate in that manner and give you time. So I think let's move in that direction, and everything should run smooth.
Yeah, I think so as well. I echo those sentiments. I think just as we did with the last government and the government before that and the government before that, it's our duty to hold, as citizens, our duty to hold every government responsible for their actions. We have a new government, a new prime minister in place. She's about to announce a new cabinet tomorrow at 4 p.m. And when that happens, we give them a chance and we hold them accountable for their actions. We call for them for transparency and so on, and we follow our nation's watchwords.
Wait. Two give me a Terrence, Production, tolerance, and what's the next one? The watchwords of what again?
Discipline, tolerance, and production.
That is the national anthem. And, together we aspire, together we achieve, are the watchwords. That is Terence.
I know you're quoting Terence, but you have to make sure and say that before people start to screenshot you and
yeah, I give you a Terence.
Yeah. So hold every government accountable. Ask this one for transparency, and let's abide by our watchword: discipline, tolerance, and production.
Right.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See you next week.
Yeah.